Good afternoon everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Thetford Town Council, which there is a brief agenda which I hope we can deal with satisfactorily, and starting with item 35, which is declarations of any disclosable pecuniary interests. Are there any that have not been generally notified before, please?
No, thank you.
And if not, moving swiftly on to item 36, are there any apologies for absence, please?
I have councillors Jane James, Chris Harvey and Terry Jones.
Thank you very much. We now have one substantive item and two according to the answer you give to the first one. So item 37, suspension of financial regulations. To suspend financial regulation 14.1H, requiring a tender process to be undertaken for the refurbishment of shambles 1 and 3. To note that the reason for suspending financial regulations is to prevent further delays and due to the responses to the request for quotes previously received. The decision is required to suspend financial regulations, and I invite an explanation from the town clerk, please.
You've done a perfect explanation of what we need to do. We just need to ask for people to propose and second it.
We have a proposer, we have a seconder. All those in favour, please. Thank you very much, that's unanimous. So that means we have another item, which is...
I'm sorry, could I just confirm who the seconder was, please?
It was Roy Bray.
You proposed?
Mark proposed and Roy seconded.
Right, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 38. Approval of quotes received for the shambles. To award the contract from the quotes received for the refurbishment of the shambles 1 and 3, and a decision is required to make that award. And I will again invite the town clerk, and this time she may not be quite so inclined to accept what I've said.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. You were all given the documentation prior to the meeting, so I'm just putting up on the screen for you the quotes. So for shambles, quote 1, the price was £12,023.88, including VAT. These costs are all going to be including VAT. Quote 2 was £16,450, additional work needed £2,630, and quote 3 was £15,599.82, with additional work needed of £1,440. Is there anything you'd like to add to that? No. So we're just asking councillors if they'd like to choose a quote.
Can I ask, please, do you feel there's no substantial differences between the work that's being they've guaranteed to undertake through their quotes? So they're pretty much similar.
They were given a specification in which to quote to, so all the quotes are against the same specification. Okay,
thank you very much. I hope that helps colleagues decide. Mark?
We're just on that. Is it the same criteria for the additional works that I think 2 of the tenders have identified?
You're probably in a better position to answer that one, Alan.
What happened is some of the suppliers identified that there may be a requirement for work they thought that they had done some, and they just wanted to provide a contingency for it. And I think what we did at the last council meeting is we made a recommendation, which is in the paper, and I know it's very difficult for you to read, is that we actually set aside 10% as a contingency, because once they've started doing some work, they might actually find something else.
Thank you. I weren't sure, Alan, if you was making the point that it's difficult for me to read generally, or just that big screen up there. But just to clarify then, we've had 3 quotes, 2 have identified a possible provision for additional works, but one of the tenders hasn't identified a requirement possibly for additional works. Thank you.
So can I just take it one stage further and say, so that there is no reason why we shouldn't regard price as being the main criterion here. Is that fair?
Yes.
Colleagues, does that help you? Are you ready to come to a decision? Anyone want to make a suggestion or indeed make a proposal? Mark? Carla?
I'll come back in.
Sorry, quick question. Is there any substantial differences on the size and capacity of the company? Because with shortage of materials, there might be bigger companies will have access to bigger resources, so they will keep to the deadlines. Are the companies all within the same more or less size? Will they have access to all the resources? The question is, will they be able to deliver if there's shortage of materials, or will they have to extend?
Well, I think actually if there's a shortage of material, that will apply to all companies equally. If there's what's the word I'm looking for? If there is a professional shortage within those areas, that will apply to all. They have repriced because of the current situation. This is the latest quotes, and they have not indicated that currently there is an issue in delivering the work. None of the companies have.
Okay. Thank you.
Come back to you, Jenny. Mark was first.
Thank you. Actually, I was just going to first of all support what the clerk said. I've experienced this in my own sector with PPE throughout the last 15 months, and regardless whether you're a big, small, medium, or a sole trader for that matter, everyone's been affected by the same logistical issues. So wherever we appoint will face the same challenges on delivery and opportunities. My only other question was, do we have any evidence of similar work undertaken without actually identifying at this stage the three tenants? Do we have any supporting evidence from each?
We are aware of other works that all the companies have completed.
And it's very easy on the financial side to look and say, this option is the most cost effective, this one is the more expensive option on paper, let's say you read it. Does that play out similarly on reviewing similar work undertaken elsewhere? So for instance, the most cost effective option, would that also be the one that provides the best evidence of work undertaken elsewhere? Or is it a bit more...
I don't actually think that the difference between them is that great. If you're talking about previous works, they've all, what we're aware of are all similar types of works.
So it ties into basically the chairman's comment that the predominant factor in this is cost.
There is no doubt that all three companies could deliver the work.
Okay, thank you.
In that case, I would propose.
That's fine. Councillor Robinson pretty much asked some of what I was going to ask. Picture my phone, yeah, so I was going to be a bit technical then. So, fine.
Right.
Like what's been said, I would propose that we accept the cheapest quote and get the work done ASAP. That's a proposal. Is there a seconder?
A proposal to
Accept.
quote one. Yeah.
That would be that would be number one, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Brenda?
Could I just question number one, because I can't read it properly, sorry, and I forgot. Was question one, did they have the 10% in case of something else needed doing?
What we're doing is we are putting aside 10% as a contingency fund from our behalf,
Right.
so that if there is a contingency, we don't have to come back for more money.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that they can spend it. It just means that we've actually allocated the funding. Budgeting 101 from the finance officer.
I'll second Councillor Brain's proposal.
So you're going to second them, Joanne?
Yeah, I'll second that.
We've now got a proposer and a seconder. Are there any other comments, please? And if not, I suggest we vote on the proposal. Those in favour, please. Thank you very much. That is again unanimous.
Thank you. So moving on to Shambles 3. Quote 1, including VAT, is £11,304.39. and that's their latest quote. Quote 2 is £15,700 with they identified there might be £780 worth of extra, and quote number 3 is £16,110.
Do all the same remarks that were made on the previous one apply to this one?
Yes.
In that case, I would propose that we use the cheapest one, being option 1.
We have a proposer. Do we have a seconder, please? Yes, we do, Brenda. Thank you very much. Just a slight pause, but I'm going to move to a vote without seeing any hands. Okay, there are no hands, so can I ask you to vote on the proposition, please? And that is again unanimous. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you.
No further business of any descriptions?
No, we haven't. No.
Can I thank you all very much for coming out on a bright afternoon when you might well have wished to do something else, even just for a few minutes. We're very grateful. It does enable us to get on with it, and the meeting is now closed.
Thank you.
Job done.